From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big evening of Evenings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check updated 2021. Breaking news as Pelosi speaks minutes ago about your recon. It is incredible what she said. Meantime, a new deal may be hatched with the moderate Democrats to get the recon done. It's complicated, but I'll explain it in this video. Then a big surprise as a new push is underway to get the recon done faster than ever thought before. What's going on? It's deliciousness. We'll cut to that $3.5 trillion of checks that have now been passed. Cluster number 1, hazard pay. Cluster number 2, home leave and home repairs. And cluster number 3, money for seniors. What Jalapal said minutes ago late today about changes on the back end and what those changes mean for you, and a call incredible great news. We have student loan debt forgiveness, more debt now being forgiven. We have the great news about COLA coming on in, and then we have more exciting details about what's going on with this stimulus. Could this stimulus be matched with fourth stimulus? And is suddenly SSI and SSDI getting a new addition of an extra item in the recon? So says Bob Casey, and also $25,000 to be added for another item for Maxine Waters, plus those monthly stimulus checks. Plus, for the first time ever, you're going to hear the comment from a chief of staff to the #1 senator for your recon, speaking about LALATE and you and the Purple Power. It's a big night. It's a big show. We have never seen anything like it. And the excitement starts right this evening, but it's far from over. And this is Evenings LALATE. Hey, good evening, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful evening across the board. We have a really big show tonight because Pelosi spoke minutes ago about your recon. Jalapal spoke minutes ago about your recon. This is all brand news tonight on Evenings LA. It was not even featured on Afternoons LA. There is a new potential deal in the works for the recon with the moderate Democrats, and it's wonderful. It's something that only legislators would come up with. It's great. You're going to love it. Then we have a new surprise as Pelosi is now advocating for that recon to get done right away. Whoa, this is the advocacy I've not seen from Pelosi in a while. A very, very exciting evening. Then, of course, we have that major statement from a chief of staff to the #1 legislator in the Senate for your recon, who has promised to give you that monthly IRS stimulus check. I have the latest detail tonight on that as well. It's a huge broadcast on top of everything else, and it's just getting started. And this is Evenings LA. So subscribe. But 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. You're not going to see the breadth of reporting anywhere else. And certainly in tonight's recording, we got a lot. We got everything that happened today, late today, stuff that happened early this morning, and then stuff that's been happening all this week. We got a lot coming up in this recording. Everything from SSI, SSDI, seniors, workers, students, and more. And it all starts tonight. So subscribe, like this video, and consider becoming a member. Let's cut to first where we are right now. We have a $3.5 trillion recon, which passed in the House subcommittee 3 weeks ago. And that recon has 3 clusters that will pay viewers upwards of $15,000 from this channel. Let's go over the first cluster starting right now, hazard pay. That has got in there, plus that $4,000 of elder care. What is in this first cluster? It starts with hazard pay with the earned income tax credit broadened and then paid out more money to those essential workers. $4,000 a year for elder care, $4,000 a year for young children's care. Free money for the home. If you live in a low-income community, they're going to give you free money to repair the home. Then $51,000 of monthly stimulus checks. Those are MSC for children, $300 a month, approximately, over every month, every year for up to 18 years. That's $51,000 a child. They got money in there for college students, grants to the universities and to the student themselves, and then money for bikes, cars, and trucks, all electric, all U.S. auto manufactured. That is huge. It is 15% if it's a bike, $7,500 if it's a car electric, and then a little bit more if it's a car for business use. In a second, we go to the second cluster, checks passed, but whoa, no one saw this coming. $21,000 is now being proposed to be added to this recon, and this is from Los Angeles' very own Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters has now proposed legislation to be added to the recon that would pay everyone $25,000 of hard, cold cash in your hands if you want to buy a new home. A new home. Eligibility? Just you're a new home buyer. How would they likely do it? Give you potentially the money during escrow when you're about to close and give them, and the federal government give the money right to the seller. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. It's one of several add-ons to these three clusters that are covered in tonight's recording. I got new add-ons coming that no one saw coming. The second cluster checks of this $3.5 trillion recon reminds us of the following details. 1, the recon is for everyone. 2, it's nationwide. It's for red states, it's blue states. It's nationwide. It's for SSI, SSDI. It's for single individuals, married couples. Everyone qualifies for it. And all viewers of this channel will generally get about $15,000 for it. As soon as it becomes law, I'm going to show you how to get this money as well. Because remember, under third stimulus, I got viewers about $40,000. So here we go to the second cluster checks. They got in there more home repairs and also paid leave. Paid family leave and paid medical leave. This is $1,700 a week approximately if you make $70,000 or more per year, split in half. $35,000 annual salary, that would be $800 a week, split in half. $15,000 annual salary, that would be $400 a week. Family leave, you have to stay home because your wife is pregnant. Medical leave, you have to stay home because your son broke his leg. Remember, this recon has nothing to do with COVID. It's just life in general. They got child care checks in there, household tax credit checks, and also checks for seniors like dental and vision. More about that in the third cluster, but they also got in there weatherizing your home checks. Have you weatherized your home? Well, now you can, and it'll be paid for by the federal government. Definitely needed if the moderate Democrats are on the roof. If the moderate Democrats are on the roof, always weatherize, because I always say keep the moderate Democrats out of the House, and wherever possible, keep the moderate Democrats out of the Senate. There we go. In a second, we go to the third cluster checks. But what is Congress doing? Well, Nancy Pelosi, Jalopal speaking out minutes ago, and new details about a potential deal in the works with the moderate Democrats. Nancy Pelosi, first of all, spoke minutes ago and said that the recon has to get done. I'm going to say two key words in this video that you're going to say, what? And you're going to say, what are you talking about? Once I explain, you'll be like, oh, wow. So the first one is fossils. Yeah, dinosaurs, old people, Jurassic Park, Mitch. The second word I'm going to say is climate. No, not that it's going to be sunny today. This is more about the electric vehicles. Nancy Pelosi minutes ago said that central to the recon is the climate piece, and we have no choice but to get this into the decision. And we need to have it. Now is our moment. We're going to get this done because it must get done, the recon. I'm speechless. I've never heard Nancy talk like this in maybe 8 months. She said the recon will get done because now it has to get done. Whoa. And then Alex Padilla, who is, of course, here, a wonderful legislator formerly from Los Angeles, now Senator of California, said, no climate, no deal. Well, guess what? The climate is behind a deal. What's going on, LALATE? A new sneaky report indicates that Joe Manchin may be coming in to deal and agree to the recon because of a deal on the climate. Remember, I told you over the last 2 days or day and a half that there's two provisions that Sinema and Manchin don't like. Sinema doesn't like prescription medication. Joe Manchin doesn't like climate. The Democrats may have, the progressives may have a deal with Joe Manchin. Why? I'm going to keep it later in this video. It's getting really exciting. Then Jalopal also said, we have no intentions of removing anything from the recon. We're still adding stuff in there. I have our comments coming up. Oh boy, it's a big recording. It's coming up. Stay with me. Let's cut to the third cluster checks. The third cluster checks has another surprise for it. And well, I'm going to tell you this one before I go into the third cluster checks. More money for seniors and more money for people on disability. Bob Casey, the wonderful senator, has now proposed more money to be added to this recon. In the second year C and the third cluster, there's money in there for seniors, but he's proposing to add an additional $250 billion for seniors. What is he proposing to add? He's proposing to modify Medicare so that it pays you more money and gives you more coverage if you're a senior and if you're on disability. Specifically things like home health care. He wants to have you have free home health care, specially provided to you by the states, but funded by the federal government. Why does he like this? And why do I like it? So that your son and daughter who's had to stay home to care for you because of your elderly has not been able to work because home health care is too expensive. So it's cheaper for them to stay home from work and protect and take care of you. Now he's giving big money, $250 billion he's proposing as a second add-on to this recon, these three clusters, to provide more money for seniors, especially with that home health care. Wow. Now with that, let's go into the third cluster that is passed, and that has money already in there for those seniors. And what is that money? Let's go over all the details, starting right now with the third cluster. Free school meals for all checks in this third cluster, checks passed. Cheaper prescription medication. Checks for farmers. Checks for clean energy. Checks for workers. Checks for seniors, like lowering eligibility age for Medicare, dental, vision, and hearing care. And for the first time you're hearing on this channel, a world exclusive, also via Bob Casey's office, is that Medicare eligibility age. Currently in the recon, passed in third cluster, is Bob Casey's provision to drop the eligibility age for Medicare. To what? I can now report he's looking to drop it from 65 to 60. Wow, that is incredible. That is before the additional money of $250 billion he wants to add in there for seniors and also people on disability. Oh boy. So what's coming up next? I think I have to give you that big shocker. A potential deal in the works with Joe Manchin. What's going on? It's climate. Now, you know me, I don't really cover climate much on this channel. And when I say climate, people always think it refers to, is it sunny or is it breezy today? That's not what they call climate in the recon. They're talking about electric vehicles, energy conservation. So now the White House and the progressives think they may have a deal with Joe Manchin. According to two people closer to the negotiations late today, they say that they're thinking of modifying some of the language in the proposed climate section of the recon that has been passed so that coal and natural gas power plants could qualify for some of the money in the recon, which would be billions of dollars, a potential big payday for fossil fuel companies that produce energy, clean energy, in Joe Manchin's state. This is big. Now, if you follow politics a lot, you know Joe Manchin's very big about energy in his state of West Virginia, and this may be the icing on the cake. This may be the diamond in the rough that gets Joe Manchin to agree to the rest of the recon. That it's not so much the price tag, it's just giving him a provision that makes his state very well off. And you don't care because we're not taking money from another program. We're just changing the wording of one of the programs in there for climate so that Joe Manchin's state could get a lot of money for fossil fuels. Whoa, this is big. Meantime, Jalapal spoke out minutes ago and spoke about what they're doing for the dental, vision, and hearing, which I just spoke about in the third cluster. Dental, vision, and hearing are basically modifications to Medicare. And some people are now saying maybe we should take out the seniors' money and put it into this stimulus, which I'm covering later in this video. Jalapal said, that's not happening. We have no intention of backing down. A lot of people have asked, is this something better than nothing? She said quite simply no, because when it comes down to something rather than nothing, it's the same people who have been forced to settle for nothing over and over their entire lives. What a great quote. I mean, that's incredible. It's $350 billion over a decade is what they're proposing for this money for seniors. And now some people are saying maybe we should put this in the fifth stimulus, including House Budget Chairman John Yarmuth, who I think is retiring. He says, I think maybe we should split them up. Although I don't think taking Medicare out of fourth stimulus and putting into fifth stimulus, Bernie Sanders wants to do that. I don't think Jalapal wants to do that. I don't think anyone wants to do that. So really interesting. That is certainly what some moderate Democrats are talking about late today, but progressives aren't doing it. Meantime, let's turn to the big exciting details. You heard it all throughout today, and you saw the graphic, but because the graphic is a little bit small for some viewers, I am now bringing on camera the actual text of what was said. This incredible text comes from the chief of staff, not an aide, not a secretary, not a person who dusts the carpet. This is the chief of staff of the number one senator behind your recon. The chief of staff again spoke to a viewer of this channel overnight, and this is what the chief of staff and the viewer reported. They now have, in that Senate office, in total, between congressional and senatorial offices, they have now received more context of advocacy from LALATE than the numbers of signatures of the American petition. The American petition is 2.9 million, so that means you have now delivered 3 million phone calls of advocacy to legislators for the inclusion of stimulus items into this recon. They now have more than what has been called just a bunch of signatures. What they now know is a better understanding of how the average Americans are trying to make it through the pandemic. They have heartbreaking stories, and they have the voice of the people across the nation that has become too loud to be ignored. Please continue your encouragement for the continued advocacy as the professional voice of the people you have become until this becomes law. That is a message directly to me. That message, again, to me is the following. To me, addressed to me. Please continue your encouragement, LA, for the continued advocacy as the professional voice of the people who you have become until this becomes law. So, as I've said, advocate until we're over the finish line. The incredible great news, as we know going into this weekend, is that the number one legislator to put this stuff in there wants to, and his name is Chuck Schumer. He is the leader of the Senate, and he tells Debbie Applegate going into last weekend, and he tells Donnie's wife going into the weekend before, that he's inserting a monthly stimulus check provision. Let's explain how this works so you understand the whole notion of the situation. There's two reasons I go over how a recon is done. One of them is to tell you where to push, and also to show you that one step is not the end of the line. One step is just another step. We have a $3.5 trillion recon passed in the House subcommittee that has those three clusters of checks that'll pay most of the viewers of this channel about $15,000. Then we have other people proposing to add stuff in there. We have us, Purple Power, trying to add those stimulus IRS checks in there. We have Maxine Waters trying to add $25,000 to buy a home. We have Bob Casey trying to add $250 billion to provide additional aid to people who are seniors and people on disability. And those added provisions can be added at different times, on the House side or on the Senate side. First, can be added before it becomes a bill. It's not a bill yet. It's still in the subcommittee. So Sheila Jackson, the number 2 in the Progressive Caucus, she wrote it up. She can still add stuff in there. Number 2, once we do have a House bill, if it's not in there, they can add it in there before they call a House vote. Number 3 is the most important one, which is the Senate side. The Senate will get whatever the House passes and look at it and say, you know what, I want to make changes to it. And those changes are called amendments. And the amendments are done to a 2-day event called a vote-o-rama. I mean, it sounds like a disco song for the 70s, but that's literally what it's called. It's not slang. It's actually called the vote-o-rama. It's 2 days, 48 hours. And who oversees the vote-o-rama? Chuck Schumer. Who determines when things are called for a vote? Chuck Schumer. Who determines what's called for a vote? Chuck Schumer. And who wants to put that monthly IRS stimulus check in there? With 3 million of you, now the largest contingency of Americans anywhere from this channel, Chuck Schumer. With 3 million of you advocating, and this is where we are going to the weekend. We're just getting started. I'll have more about this as the second half of LA's Evenings LA heats up. But first, here's a little bit about the community page. I'm going to show you the big money that's coming up in the second half of this video. We'll be going over student loan debt forgiveness, more about fifth stimulus, fourth stimulus, and also third stimulus. But first, here's the community page. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. They're Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals. Reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now as Evenings LA heats up from Santa Monica, California. I hope the weather is good where you are. Jump in the live chat. In the second half of this video, we have a lot coming up. We have student loan debt forgiveness, a big shocker. COLA, a big surprise. The number jobs claims coming in, and boy, this was a surprise. We have huge details about forced stimulus still heating up. I'm going to go over that as more. We'll be cutting back to those monthly stimulus checks. Then we'll be going over the big money available from you for third stimulus. And this is money you can go into the weekend with in your pocket. Then we'll be cutting back to fifth stimulus and more. It's a big night and it's a big evening. And this is LALATE, so subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Like the video and become a member. Meantime, I am really excited because after the show is Evening's Countdown. And then after that, all the way through the rest of the night, with the exception of Sirloin, the evenings and the overnight shows from 6 o'clock to 4 a.m. the next day are now all about forced stimulus. Can you imagine? The throwback shows are now all about forced stimulus, so stay with me throughout the night. You're going to have a lot of shows, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11:30 tonight. Meantime, let's turn to the big exciting news, and it still continues right now. It starts with the student loan debt forgiveness, with more debt now being forgiven this week. The president additionally forgave some student loan debt for individuals who became disabled after graduation. New this week, the president has now forgiven student loan debts for individuals who went into the nonprofit sector for over 10 years after graduation. Wow. The president also forgave student loans debts for people who went into work for the federal government or local city or county state for more than 10 years after graduation. This is huge. So if you went to go work for City Hall or sanitation or wherever, or the courts or the teachers, the public schools for 10 years after graduation, your debts are now forgiven. Then the president's proposing now to forgive $10,000 of debts for everyone else. Democratic legislators are trying to get to $50,000. The big exciting details is COLA is going up. COLA is going up. Now, this is a big surprise. COLA's number announced this week from Social Security Administration will be about 5.8%. Wow, this is huge. No one really thought COLA would step up this much. And why is this so exciting? Because in the month of August, when I was reporting this stimulus reform with a tying it to benchmark of inflation, I was talking about 5% inflation. But because inflation has gone so high, COLA is going to 5.8%. This is law. This is not bill. This is actually law. So all your benefits will be going up an average of 5.8% in the next few weeks. We'll explain the details of that versus fifth stimulus in just a second. But let's turn back to the big surprises about what's going on with fourth stimulus. This is really interesting. There's a lot of really fascinating comments coming in on fourth stimulus. First, the Progressive Caucus has tried to figure out how to get from $3.5 trillion to $2 trillion. And Pelosi earlier this week, I believe it was on Tuesday, said that within just a few days, we should have clarity on where the recon is going. But Bernie Sanders and other people were not so confident at the time when Pelosi made that comment. He says absolutely incumbent upon the senators and a few members of the House to start telling us what they want. Sanders is correct because the moderate Democrats have not been clear to saying what in the recon they don't like. Joe Manchin, we know he doesn't like some parts about the climate. Now, the idea of fossil fuels redefining some of the wording of the past recon may get Joe Manchin to sign on the dotted line. Next, Kristen Sinema has an issue about cheaper prescription medication, which is in cluster number 3. She doesn't like that. Maybe they modify that one. They can get her on board. But beyond that, we haven't had a lot of clarity. And that's why Bernie says, I don't want to negotiate against myself. I don't know what price tag we need to get to. Pelosi said, we have some important decisions to make in the next few days if we can proceed, when we proceed. And that comment was made on Tuesday. So going into the weekend, we're almost there. Sanders had said, we're prepared to negotiate, but we're not going to negotiate against ourselves. the issue was that while Steny Hoyer had said everyone needs to get on board, it takes responsibility. He's the majority leader of the House. It was Pelosi's comment that we have two ways to do this: either cut the duration or cut the items from the recon. That didn't sit well with the progressives early in the week. And it's not sitting well with the progressives later in the week, who want to do what I want to do, which is just cut the duration. Let me explain how this works and why it's so easy. I think they can get this done in a blink of an eye. I don't think it's much of an issue at all. This is Jalapal talking early in the week. We rather reduce the number of years for a program because the universality of the benefits of the program and the immediacy of the program are absolutely critical. And frankly, it's more important to having it than having it for a full 10 years. Listen to that 10 years. I'm going to come back to it in a second. Jalapal then late today, just minutes ago, said, we have no intentions of backing down. We're not going to remove something. We're not going to do little rather than the full thing. And John Varmuth says, I don't think we can really split this recon into different parts. What's going on? How do they do this? Let me explain. Ironically, a lot of the stuff that's been going on with this recon, you have to sort of look from the outside in and say, maybe this is how it's done. And then later after I report it, then we get confirmation it's how it was done. I had told you that I thought that when Bernie went to the negotiations for a $7 trillion recon, he was looking for 20-year programs. It looks like that was the case. That when he went in asking for a recon at $7 trillion, it was 20-year programs that would run 20 years. Why so long? Because the president wanted it, and so did Bernie and other people. The president wanted to have a living legacy after he's out of office. Well, that was not going to happen at 20 years. So the meeting that unfolded was come down lower. He came to 3.5 trillion, Bernie, and did the programs at some duration, which I speculated on a week ago, was about 10 years. Now with the comment from Jalapal today, we now know that the programs at 3.5 trillion are running 10 years. So I had said last Monday, not this Monday, but the Monday before this, the way you fix this is by shortening the duration of the programs even less than 10 years. Here's an example. You have a program. We don't want to remove the program, and we do not want to water down the program. So how do we shrink something? We just run the program for 5 years instead of 10 years. Example, $4,000 of elder care. Instead of running for 10 years, run it for 5 years. Still at $4,000, still 100% paid out. And why does this make sense? For exactly what you and I would say together if we're having a cup of coffee. Because people need big money, big checks right now. We're not worried about 4 years from now. We're not worried about 8 years from now. We're worried about a big enough check this year, a big enough check next year, a big enough check the year after that. And when we say $4,000 of elder care, we mean $4,000 of elder care. We don't mean $300 paid over 25 years. We need $4,000 right now. And so that's what Jalapal said today, is that we're not watering down things. Because, and when asked, isn't it a little bit better than nothing? She said, no. People have been living on that their entire lives. We're going to do big amounts right now. And that's how you do it. So the progressives have been looking at for over a week that the way they fix the recon, the way they shrink the recon from 3.5 to 2 trillion is not by removing a program, which is one of the two Pelosi ideas, but by shrinking the duration. And there you go. Now let's turn back to fifth stimulus. Boy, this is very exciting. Fifth stimulus is really exciting. I would never have thought that back in August, when I started recording about fifth stimulus, that we would basically have two benefits kicking in in just a short period of time. Here's the issue. Well, actually, we have more than three benefits. Let me recap all the items that are coming. First, you heard Bob Casey. He wants to add in extra money for Medicare and seniors benefits into the fourth stimulus recon. That's in the fourth stimulus. You heard about the lowering eligibility age for Medicare and the dental, the vision, the hearing for seniors. That's also in fourth stimulus. That would be, soon. That would be now. Fifth stimulus is not now. Fifth stimulus is calling for a vote later by December and next year. The raise of your benefits because of COLA, Social Security, SSI, SSDI, is in a few weeks from now. Your benefits are going to go up about 5.8% in the next few weeks. Guaranteed, that's law. So when they do fifth stimulus, then what? The great news is that this stimulus goes on top of that. Goes on top of that. It's an addition to it. And once you step up, it would step you up even more. Let me explain this a little bit better than I think I've done in the last 24 hours. COLA is going to now step you up 5.8% because that's what the law is now, and that's what COLA's coming in at. So you're going to step up 5.8%. Then, under fifth stimulus, they're going to raise your benefits up one big time. They're not raising your benefits up from where we were before the COLA. They're going to raise it up from after the COLA. So it's on top of the COLA. Yeah, that's great. So let's say you went from $1,000 a month on benefits to $1,060 a month. So they're going to raise your benefits up from $1,060 a month up higher, one big time. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, then they're going to apply a new benchmark. And that new benchmark will replace COLA. That new benchmark will be inflation. And instead of a 5.8%, it will be the inflation rate. If they don't get this done for a vote by December, then it would be next fall. And that would be on top of those two items. So on top of the COLA this year, on top of the one-time lift up, then the inflation steps up on top of that. Yeah, you would literally get 3 steps up in 1 year, in about 1 year. It's good. It's very, very good. Then they're going to remove the asset cap, remove the income cap, and remove the marriage penalty. Love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest. You'll no longer fear loss of benefits, and your benefits will be restored if they are canceled. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will be able to get married and no longer fear loss of marriage penalty. And there you go. That is fifth stimulus, and the incredible great news with that. Now let's turn over to stimulus checks and those IRS stimulus checks. As that message from that chief of staff said, you need to keep on advocating, because as you see, what's going on right now is a lot of lobbying efforts. We have 2 people in less than 2 hours saying, take out some of the money for the seniors from the recon and put it into fifth stimulus. One person saying, no, don't take it out. We're saying change the language of one provision for fossil fuels so it appeases this is up. There's a lot of things that twist, and you need to advocate. Advocating is needed across the board, because even though we've reached now 3 million calls, that is not the finish line. You need to continue to advocate until we're over the finish line. Now let's turn over to the big exciting details of money from third stimulus. If you have not gotten any money from this channel in this week, then today is going to change it. I want you to get a pen and paper ready. We're going to get some money for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, homeowners assistance, appliances, small repairs, clothing, food, and other items, and it starts right now. First, I want to show you the money for rent, mortgage, and utility assistance. We're going to reach out to 6 places. Each place has different eligibility. If one says no, reach out to the next. Second, listen to the keywords I say in this video. And third, get ready for the nonprofits. Here we go. 6 places to start, and you're going to reach out to City Hall, your City Housing Authority. County Hall, your County Housing Authority. State Hall, and your State Housing Authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. Before you make the phone call, read the LALATE newsletter if you're a member. Read the part about the Treasury allocation of additional $13 billion for rent. That's what Prina did last week. She heard my message. Read that letter first before you call up. Ask them if they got the money. When they know you know what it is, they don't give you a junky answer saying, I don't know what you're talking about. They know exactly what you're talking about when you refer to it. And that's what she did. And the city of Austin, by the end of the week, gave her $6,000. Covering her rent for 8 months into January 2022. That's how you push, and that's Purple Power. She started the week at 0. She ended the week at 6,000. Let's look at the other success stories for rent. Here we go. 20,000 all the way up to $40,000 now from Jen in the last few weeks. Next, I want you to reach out to utilities. If you got 5 utilities companies, reach out to 5. Do not stop. If you get one item for this channel, reach out and get another item. Margaret did it this all last week. She kept on getting 2, 3 more items here and there. $500 here, $1,200 there. Next, get SNAP. SNAP is easier than a stimulus check. Eligibility is easier than a stimulus check. You get it from Department of Agriculture. And how much is it? What is it for? It's for food. It's for food. And how much does it pay? Mark's brother-in-law is getting $26,000 a year for this channel. What happened? Everyone's benefits are going up an average of 25% lifetime automatically starting in the month of October. So why would you not get that SNAP? Go get it. Here are people who got in combo items. You need to get multiple items across the board. Mark $19,000, Lorraine $105,000. Next, get ready for that pen and paper again. We got some money from the nonprofits. If you have an eligibility problem, if you reached out to all six of those six places I just went over, and they all say no, and you think you have an eligibility problem, then lean on the nonprofits. The nonprofits have totally different eligibility than the federal government, and they pay for the same items under third stimulus. They are United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. The second thing about the nonprofits is they pay for items that are not covered into any of these stimulus packages. They help with homeless people getting into shelters. They help get people appliances so that they do not freeze or burn up. For example, they give often furnaces, portable heaters, and small refrigerators to viewers of this channel. They also fix broken windows so that you don't freeze to death. Very, very simple, basic necessities so that you live a safe life where you are. They also help with clothing if you have no clothing, and they do very basic things that I don't even know that they would do. Again, those five nonprofits are United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. Holiday gifts, Salvation Army. They're doing them now. Don't wait to December. Lean on them for now. If you are a viewer and you've been watching today's video or any of the videos across the board today, make the phone call, because with six places for the rent and utilities and mortgage and the five nonprofits, that's 11 places. You're eligible somewhere among those 11 places, if not all of them, for big sums of money. That's what I do on this channel. I've been doing it for over a year, and there's nothing better I know how to do is get people money. You're not going to find any place on this planet, any place on YouTube, any place in broadcast media where someone sits back and focuses on getting you every single penny you can get from third stimulus, every penny you can get from second stimulus, and every penny that's proposed for you under fourth stimulus. There's always someone that's going to say, but my daughter's son's dog walker's washer, groomer, nail biter said that there's no money in my city. Well, stop listening to the nail biter. Make the phone call. And unless you've called all 11 places, trust me, the money is there. Finally, if you haven't become a member, what are you doing? The link is under the video. Become a member today so you get that newsletter that goes out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, about 2 hours after this video. It's sent from the YouTube alert system and the LALATE alert system, which is in the description of this video. It's at news.la.com/alerts. The alert system's totally free. By becoming a member, you get from me that newsletter that breaks down all the big money under first, second, and third stimulus that you can get, and everything that's proposed under fourth stimulus. When fourth stimulus started to make its rounds and I started to go over the details of it, I analyzed it to figure out how much you would generally qualify for it, and it looks like it may be about $15,000. When third stimulus became law, I said much the same, that it looks like I can get you about $15,000 from third stimulus. I undervalued it. Average view of this channel has now gotten, on average, $40,000 from third stimulus. And viewers are still getting money from third stimulus every day from this channel. Have you gotten money from this channel this week? If you haven't, start making those phone calls. Remember, I can get you the information. I can show you where to get the money, but you have to make the phone call. And there was a week about a month ago where 3 viewers started the week at 0, and by the middle of the week, 3 of them got $40,000 for the channel. But one of them continued all the way to the weekend and got 7 items approved, $80,000 in 1 week from this channel. His name is Johnny. Why do I bring up his example? Because he got items from 7 locations. So he didn't make 7 phone calls. He made, probably 10 phone calls, 14 phone calls. He didn't make 2 phone calls. He made almost a dozen phone calls. And that's what got him $80,000. Mark, $51,000. He didn't get from making 1 phone call. Lorraine, $105,000, $110,000. She's still making phone calls. Margaret's still making phone calls. People are still making phone calls to get sums of money. You have to make the phone call. You have to make the effort. And when you do, that financial independence comes to you, because these are big sums of money. These are big sums of money, and they're available right now. Finally, let's go into the recap of what to expect for the rest of the week and the weekend. This weekend's going to be a big weekend, so you cannot sort of cash out and go to the casino and come back on Monday. You can't, because who knew that someone's trying to do a deal with fossil fuels with Joe Manchin? Who knew that someone was trying to take out half of the recon and put it into fifth stimulus, and the progressives pushing back on that? Who knew that Nancy Pelosi is going to come out and be so vocal on a late night at the end of the week saying we will be doing the recon because we must be doing the recon? The situation is changing very quickly. Pelosi spoke today in, I believe it was San Francisco. I think it was in San Francisco. Some of these other comments, these are not on broadcast media. They're not on C-SPAN. Jalapal was on Zoom talking about situations. So these things are literally happening by the minute. It's a very, very robust news cycle. With a $3.5 trillion recon, they'll pay you about $15,000, but now multiple items being proposed to be added in there. $25,000 to buy a new home. The $250 billion for elder care from Bob Casey. The push for those monthly stimulus checks, and the advocacy of this channel now delivering to congressional leaders 3 million advocacy calls. As one viewer said last night on Evening's Countdown, I've called twice this week. Should I continue to call? If you have the time, call. The more offices you call, the better. Keep on calling. Explain your situation. Advocacy involves telling your unique situation of why you need the money. It involves something unique to you, whether it's personal or your body or your medicine or your business or your relationship. I need it because I just got divorced. I need it because I broke my legs. My business went under. My town is shut down. My sons and daughters have a medical condition. I need it because of this. I got to tell you my situation. Be professional, respectful, kind, and polite. Tell your stories to as many Senate offices as you can. Call Warren, Schumer, Sanders, Casey, Coons, Wyden. Call over to AOC, Omar, Jalapal, Pelosi, and Sheila Jackson. Tell as many legislators your story as possible. Don't be a Dora the Check Explorer. Advocate, tell everything you need, and join me next as we go into a big Evening's Countdown show. Then, after that, is Street and Stimulus, and brings us into all our nighttime shows now, with the exception of Sirloin, are all about forced stimulus. Wow. They're all about forced stimulus, which I started recording as the very first person on the map starting in April. We'll get through this together, and we'll get through this to the weekend with some money in our hands from third stimulus. So with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Join me next with Evening's Countdown starting right after this video. It'll automatically take you there. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. They're at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.